Hi guys, I'm back with another Battle for Zendikar draft. I'm pretty happy with how this one went, so let's jump right into it. My first pick is a Drowner of Hope. I see no other cards that are even close to the quality that Drowner of Hope is, and I think that card is amazing, so I take it. For my second pick, I've got a Kozilek's Channeler I'm considering. I'm also considering a Nettle Drone and a Vestige of Emrakul. To be honest, it would have been stronger if I had taken the Kozilek's Channeler. It would have kept me in only blue. I ended up taking Nettle Drone, hoping that a blue-red colorless strategy would reveal itself. Spoilers, it does not. Nettle Drone was kind of a wasted pick, but it doesn't come back to bite me too hard. I look at an Evolving Wilds here versus a Breaker of Armies. Breaker of Armies ends up being the pick that I take just because it's a very, very large body and it's very, very strong. You drop it, you win the game. But Evolving Wilds would have also been a strong pick here. This is just kind of a stylistic choice. I take a Merc Strider here over a Rot Shambler. Pretty obvious pick, just because I'm already in blue. I look at a Sludge Crawler here versus the Red-White Ally. I don't really want to drop everything that I've been doing to go allies, so I take the Sludge Crawler. I also check out the Valakut Invoker, but Sludge Crawler is just a very good card. Fine to start going into black with, so I don't regret that decision at all, even though I didn't end up going black. I take a Plated Crusher here. It's my first green card, but Plated Crusher is a very strong card in its own right. Hexproof Trample. Decent toughness means it's very hard to deal with. Its offense is going to get a 2-for-1. Good late game card. I'm looking at a Snapping Gnarlid versus an Incubator Drone. In hindsight, it was a good pick that I took the Snapping Gnarlid, but looking at it from a purely draft standpoint, I should have taken the Incubator Drone just because I'm already trying to go into blue more than green. I look at an Infuse the Elements here over a Skyline Cascade. Infuse the Elements is really good if you can cast it with 3, and so I take it. Green often has the ability to go into 3 colors anyway. I take a Call of the Scions here. Not really anything else in the pack. Fertile Thicket's a pretty crap card anyway. To round out the draft, I take a Stalwart here. I see an Angelic Captain here. Not really what I'm looking for. Horribly Awry versus Mist Intruder here. I take the Mist Intruder over the Horribly Awry, even though I like both of those cards. Mist Intruder, it's a 1/2 Ingester. It allows you to use processing strategies. It's a great 2-drop. Gets through a bunch of times usually. Just a great card in general. I see a Hadron Archive versus a Clutch of Currents here. I take the Hadron Archive over the Clutch of Currents, even though I do like Clutch of Currents a ton. Hadron Archive is a very, very strong card. It lets you play Eldrazi on turn 5 and 6 as opposed to 7 and 8. There's a huge power spike in doing so, and Hadron Archive is just an overall very, very strong card. Great in the late game too, since you can draw 2 cards off of it. I've got an Ugin's Insight that I see here. I take the Ugin's Insight. You know what? It's a great card. You cast it on turn 5, or even far, far later into the game. Draw 3 cards is already good. With the Scry, it's even better. I see a Beanathic Infiltrator. It's a 1/4. It's an Ingester. It's a great card. It's a common, and it is undoubtedly one of the best blue commons. It's a great blocker, and it also turns on processing strategies. So I'm just going to go ahead and snap this up. There's not really much contest. Perhaps the Merc Strider, but Beanathic Infiltrator is so important to processing strategies that it doesn't really cross my mind. I've got a Lifespring Druid. I snap pick the Lifespring Druid. I can play a 3rd color with it. That's great. I see a Cloud Manta versus a Natural Connection and a Call of the Scions. I take the Natural Connection. Having 2 mana fixing cards allows me to even easier play a 3rd color if I choose to do so down the road, and that is the strength of green, even though green is one of the weaker colors. So I take a Natural Connection here. I've got a Tightening Coils here. I take the Tightening Coils. Very strong card, even though it doesn't kill the opponent's creature. I see a Incubator Drone versus a Ruin Processor. I take the Incubator Drone. I already have enough large drops as is. And I take the Eldrazi Devastator, even though I'm not going to play it for the same reasoning. I take the Brood Hunter here over the Cloud Manta just because bigger creatures, and I'm very happy to wheel the Oran Reef Invoker late on into the draft. I see Annoyan Dar here, and that is interesting. Over a Clutch of Currents? Yes, actually, I do take it over the Clutch of Currents because it is such a bomb card. You drop that, you play instants and sorceries, and it's instantly a 2-for-1. Very, very, very strong card. Even though I'm not in white, the strength of green is to be able to play those cards. And so I'm able to play Noyan Dar for yet another bomb card. I've already got a bunch of them, and so I'm super happy to be able to pick this card up. I see a Ruination Guide. Strongest blue uncommon in my opinion. I take it instantly. I've got plenty of colorless creatures, and indeed it does win me multiple games. I see a Lumbering Falls versus a Dampening Pulse here. I take the Lumbering Falls. Was a mistake. I ended up never making a creature, and I ended up never needing the mana fixing it provides. Dampening Pulse would have been the stronger card here. Great against aggro. I should have taken it. I didn't. Oh well. Evolving Wilds here, great, especially since I already picked up Annoying Dar, lets me mana fix easier, just a very strong card in general, should be taken highly in drafts. I take an Unnatural Aggression over a Mist Intruder here. That is probably the biggest mistake I make during this draft. I should have really taken the Mist Intruder. Unnatural Aggression is just not that strong a card, and I would have played the Mist Intruder, whereas the Unnatural Aggression I did not end up playing, unfortunately, so it did come back to bite me in the butt. I'm looking at another Incubator Drone here. I do take it. I don't end up playing it. I have plenty of 4-drops. I'm not worried about that. Take the Spell Shrivel over the Corehelm Guide, even though I have said in the past how strong Corehelm Guide is. Spell Shrivel is also very strong. You can play it all the way up until your opponent has like 8 lands. And even then, if your opponent's going to try to play a bomb, you can still usually use it to counter that bomb. Very strong card. And I pick up a Call of Science here late on, and I take a Giant Mantis over Swelligrowth just because having a few Reachers is a good idea. And late on, once again, I take an Oran Reef Invoker. I'm very happy to do so. Makes my deck quite strong. Here's a look at how the deck turned out. I'm very pleased with how it is, and it ended up going 3-0, performing very, very nicely. It was very consistent, and it was able to drop all of its bombs on time. It got mana screwed very, very rarely because of Lifesprig, Druid, Natural Connection, Hadron Archive, and it didn't really get mana screwed at all either because of those cards as well. Color screwed. Generally, I'm very happy with how I drafted. There was a few definite mistakes that I made, and I pointed those out. But overall, I'm extremely pleased, and I hope that my next draft goes just as well. Thanks for stopping by, and I appreciate you spending the time. If you want to give some criticism or comments, just go on down to the comment section below, and I appreciate that, and I do read those. Thank you once again, and I'll see you next time. Happy drafting!